My sister, 20, and I, 18 female, used to be close, but when I was 5 I got sick up until I was 15. Because I was sick, my parents often stopped her from doing normal things on my account. Initially I was okay with her doing kids stuff, but at one point I got bitter and guilt-tripped my parents and her to let her stay with me, but I did that up until I was 12. Then I noticed that it was leading to a strain in our relationship and her hating me. I tried to get back on her good side because she was no longer enthusiastic about staying with me like before, when we would play games and she would sing and do things with me. I tried to convince my parents to let her do stuff because she would come back from school, then spend 5 to 7 hours with me, then go home, and that cycle would repeat itself. But my parents insisted on it and thought I was being brave, even though I would beg them to let her have a life. When I turned 15, I had surgery and was doing better, but I was still dealing with some side effects from the drugs I was taking, which only lasted for a year. My parents had finally let her do things that she wanted to do. This was midway through her junior year, but the damage was already done. She'd stopped communicating with my parents and me. Like when we'd sit down to dinner, she'd only say one word to my parents and then lock the door to her room. And she didn't have any friends. She told my aunt, and my aunt told her parents because she was worried about her mental health. My parents tried to do family therapy before she left for college, but she still didn't communicate. She can literally spend a whole month without saying a word to anyone. When she went off to college, she cut off our parents and me. She changed her number and everything. Last year, after doing some research, I found her on Instagram. She seemed much happier. I found out about her university and applied there. I wanted to rekindle our relationship now that she seemed to be in a better mental space. Last semester, I contacted her through the university email and told her we could meet for coffee. She ignored all of my emails. This year, I decided to be more direct, so I went to her student organization and told her hi. She ignored me, but her friends asked who I was, and I told them that I was her sister, and they seemed surprised because she didn't mention me. She then told me we should go to a cafe. She chewed me out for picking this university. She referred to it as her safe place. I may have gone about this the wrong way, but at the same time, I just wanted us to be close again. Am I the idiot? She's the only one I feel like I can talk to. I just want a relationship with her. I have no friends since spending so much time in the hospital impacted my ability to socialize. I only feel comfortable talking to her. You are the idiot. She went no contact. So instead of respecting her decision, you stalk her, apply to go to the same college and expect her to be happy? I will not be surprised if your sister transfers to another school. You stole her childhood. Leave her adulthood the heck alone. OP didn't steal her childhood, the parents did. OP is now a grown adult with control over her actions and is actively choosing to torment and stalk someone. But I also believe that her emotional growth is stunted. It doesn't seem their parents gave them the emotional support they needed. She most likely doesn't understand what she's doing is wrong. Due to her illness, she probably has a hard time making friends. Never learned to properly express her emotions because her parents just gave in to her every whim. And due to how emotionally stunted she is, most people in her age range probably think she's immature and needy. She seems like an incredibly lonely individual. I completely agree with you. OP, please seek therapy. Your parents should have gotten your sister and you individual therapy, not family therapy. They don't get any props there. I suspect that even that was about you. You're acting just like you did as a kid, putting your wants before her needs. It's time to grow up and leave your sister alone. She finally gets to live her life the way she wants, and that's without you. Update: why is everyone saying I stalked her? I checked her public Instagram and found her student organization on her public LinkedIn. I'm not a stalker. And since she didn't have any friends in high school and I'm still struggling to make friends, I thought our reconciling could be good for both of us. We could be a duo. It didn't really occur to me that she would make friends in her first and second years because I didn't make any friends in high school. I was trying to help us both since we were both antisocial. I wasn't the one controlling her. My parents were the ones who controlled her. I feel like it's unfair to blame her childhood on me, especially since I was bedridden for most of it. She is not the only victim of my parents' decisions. I honestly don't understand why she blames and resents me. My 25 female dad, 47, is getting married to his fiancée, Erin, 33 female. Erin invited me, her maid of honour, and her 2 daughters, young grammar school age, for wedding dress shopping. I agreed as I thought it would be a nice bonding experience with Erin. I don't know Erin well. My dad and I were estranged for years. I'm not in the wedding party, which I'm okay with. When I turned up at the wedding dress shop, Erin was wearing a knee-length, sleeveless summer dress. This is important. The assistant had already pulled some dresses for Erin based on what she said that she was looking for. These were kept in the changing room, so I didn't see them before she came out in the first one. I had no idea what she was looking for, other than she wanted something that would go with the shawl she had from her mum. Erin's mum passed away a few years ago, so this was her something old. When Erin came out in her first dress, it wasn't what I was expecting. It was full length, with sleeves, and covered her all the way up to her collarbones. The shawl was used as a head covering. This surprised me, as she doesn't dress modestly in her daily life, like the dress that she turned up in. She looked like one of those dolls that people used to cover toilet rolls. All the dresses were the same, she was covered up in every single one of them. I asked Erin why she'd chosen those ridiculous dresses and offered to pick out a dress so she wasn't so covered up. Erin replied that it was important to her to be covered during her wedding. She explained she was raised in a mixed-race household. Her mum was Muslim. When her mum married, she couldn't wear a modest dress as she was forced to conform to a traditional Christian wedding, and it was one of her biggest regrets. Her mum had hoped Erin would wear a modest dress when she married, but Erin had chosen not to, as she wasn't religious at the time. After her mum died, she became more religious but didn't wear a head covering or dress modestly in her daily life. When Erin and my dad got engaged, she decided to fulfill her mum's wish. Erin didn't say anything else to me about the dresses during the appointment. That evening, I got a text from my dad stating that he was disappointed that I called Erin's modest dress wearing ridiculous. He said that Erin's religious beliefs weren't up for discussion or ridicule and that she was disappointed in me. He wanted me to apologize to her. Am I the idiot for calling the modest dress ridiculous? Obviously, you are the idiot. Just because something isn't to your taste doesn't mean it's ridiculous, and you're definitely not justified in abjectly insulting someone's choices. Dress shopping for an event isn't about your actual opinion, but for support in making a choice that feels good and suits the person's personality. You don't know Erin well. Not your place to have a strong opinion, especially after not asking Erin what she was looking for. You should apologize. I said, "Oh my," out loud when OP said she offered to pick out the bride's dress. How OP can't see how much of an idiot she is beyond me, and she literally said, "Ridiculous?" I can't even. Great job making a person feel like crap for no reason. But I wonder if the ages are relevant. Erin and OP are closer in age than one usually expects from step-parent and children, so maybe there's something happening below the surface for OP, causing her to act out. My boyfriend Jake, 29, and I, female 27, have been seeing each other for a few months. Jake is Mexican-American, but he's currently working in Berlin, where I'm from. I've heard him speak Spanish on the phone many times and inquired about this, but he's never asked me if I speak it, and it just felt weird to mention it when he didn't seem to care enough to ask if I spoke any other languages apart from German and English. Because of that, he's never really found out I speak Spanish, despite me quite literally watching a telenovela before bed quite a few times. It kinda stings, but it is what it is. I never eavesdropped on his conversations, though. His friend from the US was visiting him, and I was meant to join them for dinner. When I did, they were speaking in Spanish, and his friend asked, in Spanish, if I speak it or if they should switch to English only. My boyfriend said, again in Spanish, "Nah, she doesn't speak it." This kind of annoyed me because he never even asked me, so I replied to his friend in Spanish that I do, in fact, speak it. Jake got angry and red. He didn't say anything in front of his friend, but on the way home, after dropping his friend off at the hotel, he started shouting about how I humiliated him and that I'm an idiot for hiding it. I told him it's best if we went to his flat and we would talk when he calmed down. He hasn't changed his mind and still thinks I'm an idiot and I should apologize. I told my friend and they're split on it, and I'm just not sure anymore. Am I the idiot for not telling him? Not the idiot. You literally watched television shows in Spanish in front of him and it didn't occur to him that you understand and can speak Spanish. He assumed you didn't, referred to you dismissively to his friend, and is angry that he got called on it. Find a better boyfriend. That's the humiliating thing, that he never put two and two together. LOL. Like dating someone, you think it would come up, but if you didn't ask and he didn't ask, he speaks Spanish, so you know he speaks Spanish, you watch TV shows in Spanish, so he knows you at least understand Spanish, and now he's angry that someone asked and you answered? Just dump the boyfriend, date the friend, and go dancing. Also, your soon-to-be ex is in Europe. It's common as heck that most people speak 3+ languages. He's an idiot at best and sees you as an appendage at worst. Their relationship is probably unhealthy from both sides. How do you sometimes date for months and not care to find out about their background, education, travel history, etc.? On the flip side, how do you date someone who's spoken Spanish for months and not want to share this thing with them? My wife and I are both white, but both speak fluent Spanish. We studied it in Arizona and international travel, and that's something we found out about each other pretty early on the first date. I find this entire relationship either pretty hard to believe or comically shallow. I, 40 male and married to Claire, 39 female. I have 2 children with my late wife who are teens. Claire has a grown son in his 20s. My late wife was Meggie and I still love her and always will. She passed when our kids were 2 and 3 years old. We discussed the possibility of it happening because she had a job where she put herself at risk to help others. She is still very much part of our story. When I was ready to date again, I went into it with some basic points that needed to be okay with a potential partner. Those were, I was not looking for a mother for my children. They have a mother and didn't want a relationship where they called someone else mom. Yes, we talked about it. Meggie would always be part of the picture, and any partner of mine had to be okay with that. Meggie would not be forgotten or erased just because I was ready to date. I also didn't want to have more children. When Claire and I met, she told me all of that was good with her because she had a grown son and didn't want to start over, and she respected that I still loved my late wife. She and my kids got along, so I felt good about our relationship. Things were good until last year when my youngest told me Claire had been making them uncomfortable around Mother's Day and that she'd requested that my child suggest a change of plans and that we do something for her that Mother's Day. Claire was always with her while the kids and I would visit Maggie's grave, go out for lunch at the diner Maggie and I took them to while she was alive, and we'd chill afterward. Claire wanted us to drop that and never said a thing to me. I brought it up to her and she told me she felt it was time the kids and I joined her and her son for Mother's Day and embraced the person who was there. I told her she was celebrating with her son while my kids and I were remembering and honouring their mom. She was very closed off and I told her we needed to speak to a therapist because I could see more going on. It's taken this long, but since February, she's been opening up and saying how she does want my kids to view her as a mother and how she isn't okay with how things are with them, seeing her as a family but not a parent, and with how much Maggie is still part of things. She also admitted her relationship with her son is not what she's pretended it to be and how she wanted a chance to have a closer adult relationship with my kids and to be the mom of an adult she always thought she would be. I told her she couldn't use my kids to fulfill her wish when they don't want to be part of that. She told me if I loved her, I would encourage them to at least try and that I said that to her very dismissively. She told me I was being rude for the sake of being rude. Though the therapist agreed with me, Claire is still hurt about what I said. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, as long as this is what your kids want. The thing is, kids can have more than one kind of parent in their lives. Rather than focus on never replacing their bio mom, you could encourage the 3 of them to form a different kind of relationship, one where she's a trusted adult in their lives without erasing the presence of your late wife. I can tell you love your kids. However, I also wonder if their reluctance to embrace Claire comes from a place of not wanting to disappoint you. They were tiny when Maggie died and aren't likely to remember much about her, but they instinctively understand your position on this. Being a step-parent is incredibly challenging. You do the work, love the child, often get no authority, and receive very little appreciation. So compassion for Claire is important too. After 13 years, it's very honourable you're still including your late wife, but at this point it's also time to let someone in and to bond as a family of 5 instead of 3 plus 2. She doesn't want your kids to call her mom, but she wants to have a healthy parental relationship with all 3 kids who she cares for every day. This doesn't sound like a crazy wish like you're implying. As much as I respect that you weren't trying to replace your late wife in your kids' lives, it sounds to me like your late wife takes up way too much space in your marriage. So I, 29 female, have designed all the wedding dresses for my cousins, siblings and aunts for the past decade. When my eldest sister, 35, got engaged at 24, she asked me to design her dress since I was passionate about design, and she always loved my style. Her dress was a knockout. Everyone loved it, and ever since, whenever one of our relatives announces their engagement, they ask if I can design their dress for them. I've always said yes because I absolutely love doing it. It's just so much fun. On to the issue. My cousin, 23 female, is getting married next February and called me to see when we could meet so she could share her ideas for her dress and I can start designing it. I do not like this cousin at all. Her parents spoiled her beyond rotten. I decided to still meet with her though and see if anything has changed since now she's an adult. She immediately shows me some photos of wedding dresses by Sarah Burton and tells me she wants something exactly like the pictures. I try to suggest a change in neckline or colour and she shuts it down and tells me she wants exactly that. I told her I wouldn't be making her a dress as I love designing clothes that embody the wearer and suit them, not rip off other designers so she can look fancy in a knockoff. Some of my family, and especially her and her parents, are beyond upset and have been blowing up my phone because I've broken tradition and my baby cousin's heart because she's been looking forward to having me make her wedding dress for years now. I feel kind of bad, but at the same time, she's taking the fun and bonding out of designing a wedding dress. Not the idiot. If your cousin wants a specific dress, she should just buy the specific dress. The tradition was for you to design the dresses and share these moments of creation with your family members. Of course she and her parents are upset. The sort of dress she wants costs a lot of money. Having you do it is much cheaper. I think it's time you broke with tradition. The tradition also included asking OP if she would or could design a dress for them, not deciding that OP would do that and just demanding an appointment to discuss details. LOL. The audacity. Also, is it even legal to copy a designer dress? I feel like it would be fine as long as you weren't trying to sell it. But cousin probably would have walked around her wedding telling people her dress was real Sarah Burton. OP, this wasn't a cousin feeling grateful about having a designer in the family and how gracious it is for that designer to take time and energy out of their day to create a custom dress and show even a modicum of respect by asking. This is an entitled brat demanding a service she feels entitled to. Narcissists are like that. It's everyone else's fault but their own.